So you might be wondering, what could the story of a 105-year-old woman from Bakersfield possibly have to do with something like the LA Olympics, or even a huge policy fight brewing in Washington, D.C.? Well, today we're going to connect those exact dots. We're looking at personal resilience, community action, and some really high-stakes political decisions that aren't just shaping California, they're shaping the whole country. Let's dive in and see how it all fits together.
Just think about that for a second. 5 children and $5. That's all they had. It's a single sentence that, honestly, captures the beginning of this incredible American journey. This is the story of Vassie Lee Jackson and her husband, Henry. And, like so many others, during the Great Migration, they rolled into Bakersfield back in 1939 with pretty much nothing. Nothing but this fierce determination to build a whole new life from scratch.
And wow, what a life it turned out to be. Born in 1920, Vassie Jackson saw it all. We're talking everything from the Dust Bowl all the way to the dawn of the internet. Her life literally spanned these huge eras of segregation, the civil rights movement, massive technological revolutions. It just makes her story this perfect, powerful anchor for the history we're about to get into.
Okay, so let's start right there with her story. It's really this incredible testament to resilience and faith, and it became the bedrock of an entire community.
So Vassie and Henry, they started out in the fields, picking cotton and fruit. And later on, she did what she called day work, which was basically cleaning homes for other people. But their real legacy? That was the home they built in East Bakersfield. It became more than a house. It was a sanctuary. It was a place where, as her family always says, absolutely no one who knocked on that door ever left hungry.
This was her advice, her counsel, to pretty much anyone who would listen. And both her pastor and her family, they all point to this unwavering faith as the source of her strength, her warmth, and, well, her incredible longevity. It was the simple principle she lived by for 105 years.
That spirit of resilience, it wasn't just something Vassie Jackson had. It's really the foundation of community itself. So now, let's zoom out a bit from this one family's story and take a look at how communities all across California are actively building their own futures, taking on some big challenges, from social isolation all the way to economic inequality.
And this next story we're looking at is guided by a really powerful philosophy, Ubuntu. It's this core idea that I am because you are. Basically, our own well-being is just fundamentally, inextricably tied to the well-being of everyone else around us.
So, out in San Bernardino's huge high desert, Black residents can often face this kind of double isolation. They're spread out geographically, but there's social barriers too. And the Ubuntu Project is tackling this head-on. They use these healing circles to create these absolutely vital spaces for people to just connect, to share their experiences with bias, and maybe most importantly, to build a real network of mutual support and collective strength.
But building a community isn't just about social connection. It's also about economic opportunity. And believe me, a massive opportunity is right on the horizon. This number you're looking at, $11 billion, that's the estimated economic windfall from the upcoming LA 28 Olympic Games. So the big question is, who gets a piece of that pie?
And here's the really crucial part. LA 28 has made this public commitment to diversity in its spending. They're aiming to give contracts to local, minority-owned businesses. For Black-owned businesses in the greater LA area, this is not just some small opportunity. This is a potential game changer. It's a chance to lock in contracts that could completely transform their futures. Okay, so how can businesses actually grab this chance? Well, Assemblymember Tina McKinnon lays out a really clear roadmap. It all starts with getting your business certified and getting all your paperwork ready to go. From there, it's about getting registered on the official portals, like the LA 28 site and Ramp LA. And finally, connecting with organizations like the local Black Chambers of Commerce for support. Her advice is super simple. Be engaged, prepared, and ready. So while big opportunities like the Olympics are shaped by organizational policy, the rules that really govern daily life for millions of us, those are forged in the state capitol. So now we're going to head to Sacramento, where there's a flurry of legislative debates happening right now that could directly impact everything from your privacy to your wallet. All right, first up is a pretty contentious bill, AB 2624. On one side, you have supporters, like Assemblymember Bonta, who say this is a necessary protection for immigrant service providers who are facing threats and harassment. But on the other side, opponents, like Assemblymember DeMaio, are warning that it could be used to silence journalists and watchdogs who are trying to investigate how public money gets spent. It's really a classic clash between privacy and transparency. Next, we've got a really landmark piece of legislation,
AB 2599. If this thing passes, large corporations doing business in California would have to go back and comb through their own history and disclose any wealth they gained from chattel slavery. The whole goal here is to create a public, searchable database, basically forcing a kind of reckoning with the economic legacy of slavery. And at the same time, the legislature is juggling a ton of other pressing issues. For one, there's a public health crisis with a sharp rise in measles cases. Then there's economic relief. About $520 million in utility credits are heading out to households. And all of it is happening against the backdrop of a huge budget deficit. It's forcing the Senate to figure out how to make ends meet without gutting essential programs. It's a total high-wire act.
Now, while California is dealing with these immediate public health issues like measles, there's a much broader, more fundamental debate about health that's happening at the national level. And this one connects directly to the changing demographics of the entire country.
Just take a look at this chart. Since 2007, the U.S. fertility rate has absolutely plummeted, down by 23%. This isn't just a boring statistic. This is a demographic earthquake. And this really dramatic decline is the crucial backdrop for a radical overhaul of a federal program that's been around for 5 decades and affects millions of people. And that program is Title X. For more than 50 years, it's been the nation's main safety net for low-income folks who are looking for access to contraception and basic reproductive health care. But that is all changing. The brand new funding notice for Title X is radically shifting its focus. I mean, the long-standing goal of preventing unintended pregnancies is basically being replaced with a totally new mission, promoting fertility, family formation, and addressing reproductive health conditions like endometriosis. So, as you can imagine, critics are sounding the alarm. People like former Title X official Jessica Marcella argue that this isn't just an expansion of family planning, it's a complete redefinition. They believe it's aimed at pushing a pro-natalist agenda, basically an agenda that encourages more births. They see it as using the program like a Trojan horse for something else entirely. But on the other hand, supporters see it very differently. For instance, Emma Waters from the Heritage Foundation, she calls this a fulfillment of the program's true purpose. She sees it as a long overdue move to empower women by finally addressing these long-neglected health issues that can actually affect fertility. But reproductive health experts are pointing out what they see as a major contradiction right at the heart of this new policy. On one hand, it encourages doctors to diagnose conditions like endometriosis. But then, it seems to de-emphasize the very hormonal therapies, like birth control, that are the primary first-line treatment that clinicians use to manage its often painful symptoms. It's a real head-scratcher for them.
And look, the stakes here could not be higher. The U.S. already has one of the worst maternal mortality rates among wealthy nations, and the CDC says 4 out of every 5 of those deaths are preventable. This whole policy shift is happening in a country where medical research clearly shows that pregnancy carries significantly higher health risks for a person than hormonal contraception does.
So we kind of end where we began, looking at all these different forces that shape our lives. We've seen the profound power of personal faith in one woman's century-long journey. We've seen the collective power of a community in action with the Ubuntu Project. And we've seen the immense top-down power of policy being made in the halls of government. And it really leaves us with this one fundamental question. When you're facing all this sweeping change, where does the real power to shape our future? Where does it truly lie?